There are concerns surrounding a new COVID variant spreading in California. When it first appeared and the questions doctors are trying to answer.
Youth sports in San Diego County are ready to start practicing this weekend. The requirements those organizations still need to meet to take the field.
From the internet to a storefront, a local bakery has seen business skyrocket during the pandemic. It's a story that's positively San Diego. What's inspiring the owner to give back to the community?
ABC 10 News at 6 starts now.
The new COVID variant has emerged in California, raising questions about how contagious it may be and severe. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Researchers in the Bay Area say the so-called California variant may spread much faster. Our ABC 10 News reporter Melissa Mejia spoke to medical experts about its spread around San Diego County.
The California variant is here and spreading, according to researchers at UCSF. In this model, the red dots are the California variant mutations. While more studies still need to be done, Dr. Charles Chu has been studying it since he first detected it end of last year.
These results are quite concerning because it suggests that we have identified the emergence of a new variant that is spreading very rapidly in California and also that appears to be more infectious.
Wednesday afternoon, Dr. Eric McDonald with the county's Epidemiology and Immunization Services addressed the California variant. He said 30 to 40% of COVID-19 cases we're seeing here locally likely have this variant. He said he doesn't know yet if this one is more contagious than the others, but
it's gratifying to know that the overall numbers of cases are going down. And so even if it is a little more contagious than the other ones that are circulating in the community, the take-home message is the same.
That message? Do the same things we've been doing. Social distance, wash your hands, wear your mask. ABC 10 News consulted with two other medical professionals about the California variant.
We should remember that viruses do mutate. This is what they do. It's not unexpected, but we do need more evidence and more data on this particular variant.
Dr. Gary Pace added it's not on the CDC's list of variants of concern yet, like the UK and South African variants. He advises everyone, though, to be aware of it.
Personally, I think it's a worrisome development. This new form of the virus seems to spread more aggressively than the older form. So we have to be even more careful with the masking. We have to be even more careful with the social distancing.
Another key element against these mutations, vaccinate when you can. Melissa Mejia, ABC 10 News.
The county's 14-day rolling average for positive COVID tests is holding steady, just above 4.5%. We're still about 1.5% higher than we were before the winter surge. Now, there were about 650 new cases reported today. The county has seen more than 258,000 cases since the pandemic began, and 12 more people have died from this virus. COVID has killed more than 3,200 San Diegans.
San Diego County teachers can start getting vaccinated this Saturday. It's 2 days ahead of when the county previously said that would begin. And the county says it's starting to see unfilled available appointments. They are confident that the supply will start to get to the levels of vaccinations in the next year. And that includes teachers and child care providers, emergency service personnel, and those in food and agriculture. But the county stresses there are 500,000 people in that category, and it will take a while to reach everyone.
There will not be 500,000 appointments available on Saturday, or Sunday, or Monday, or for many weeks coming forward. And so we need folks to be patient.
The county says it will prioritize K through 12 teachers in areas hardest hit by the virus. It also created a new information website that will only be for teachers and school staff. The county also says that it's still on track to start offering appointments to people with underlying health conditions on March 15th. Meantime, we are learning more details about how the San Diego Unified School District will bring students back for its targeted reopening in mid-April. School Board President Richard Barrera said today they hope to implement an in-person hybrid model on April 12th.
And so that means that, maybe half the class comes in the morning and half the class comes in the afternoon, or, half the class comes 2 days a week and the other half comes the other 2 days a week.
5,000 students have already been doing in-person learning with strict safety measures in place. The district will now build out those measures to accommodate thousands more, and the district will space out desks at intervals and then make sure classrooms have proper filters for adequate ventilation. The county still needs to drop out of the restrictive purple tier for the district to move forward.
High school and youth sports are one step closer to hitting the field again. A Vista judge clarified a ruling today allowing indoor and outdoor sports to resume playing if they meet collegiate testing requirements. Our ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Dela Cruz explains who's on the hook to pay for that testing so every team has a fair chance to play.
On February 19th, a Vista judge ruled high school sports can resume play in San Diego County despite not meeting requirements set by the state. Back in court Wednesday, Scripps Ranch football coach Marlon Gardnera says they're learning that same ruling also applies to youth sports.
A clear picture was painted regarding exactly who was included in the temporary restraining order from last Friday, and it was reaffirmed. All sports can play in San Diego County.
Under the ruling, high school and youth teams can resume play if they follow the same guidelines set for collegiate sports that have been playing for months now. The biggest hurdle in that requirement is testing players 48 hours before a game in high-contact sports like football. Governor Newsom has vowed to foot the bill for testing in counties with a case rate of 14 per 100,000. Gardnera says even though San Diego County doesn't meet that threshold yet, the governor can't fund testing for some student athletes and not others.
The judge said that that is not legal. That would be unequal protection under the law. That was not a requirement for colleges and pros. So the judge made that requirement in San Diego County null and void.
Outside of testing, Gardnera says the state's collegiate protocols for play aren't much different than what they've been doing at the high school level. In a press conference Wednesday, Supervisor Nathan Fletcher said the ruling places an unrealistic burden on youth programs that lack the funding and resources of higher-level sports.
I think the overwhelming majority of youth sports will be reopening and getting going again, but under the state guidance, not under this ruling that seems to hold them to a professional sports standard.
Jennifer Dela Cruz, ABC 10 News.
The California Interscholastic Federation oversees high school sports. They have set this Friday as the first practice date for football and soccer. Baseball, softball, and lacrosse are set to start March 13th. And the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is one step closer to being added to the list of vaccines to fight COVID. The FDA is signaling it's poised to grant emergency use authorization this weekend. U.S. regulators said the single-dose vaccine appears to be about 85% effective at preventing severe illness. They added it also works against all variants and may even prevent asymptomatic infections. If emergency use is authorized, Johnson & Johnson says it's ready to deliver 20 million doses by the end of March. And we also know there are a lot of questions and different experiences with the vaccine rollout. Our ABC 10 News in-depth team is committed to tracking down answers and sharing your stories. So just send us an email to tips@10news.com.
Essential workers in California want state leaders to extend pandemic benefits, including emergency paid sick leaves. San Diego Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez held a news conference today sharing her support for the workers' request.
Workers who don't have paid sick leave, especially undocumented workers or workers who are very vulnerable, will go to work anyway if they're not feeling well. They have to. Sometimes they have no safety net, or they're afraid to not be paid for a day of work and not knowing where their rent will come from. So they'll go to work, and often this will create a workplace outbreak. It'll affect customers. And when there is a workplace outbreak, that means higher costs for the businesses. They often have to shut down.
Emergency paid sick leave and other pandemic benefits expired at the end of last year. It will take a new bill to extend them. Assemblywoman Gonzalez said today she hopes to have one ready soon.
A new report from the San Diego Workforce Partnership suggests employers need to take a more vested interest in employees' mental health. Before the pandemic, about a quarter of all workers had been diagnosed with depression. One of the biggest recommendations from that report is to encourage a culture of openness so that employees and employers are more likely to share their issues rather than keep them secret. The Workforce Partnership also recommends a minimum hourly wage of $17 and give employees better access to mental health services.
Tiger Woods is awake, responsive, and recovering in his hospital room after an emergency surgery to the golf legend's right leg. That is the word from Woods' team. Woods was taken to the hospital yesterday after investigators say his car flew off the road in a rollover crash near LA. Doctors put a metal rod in his shin, which had multiple fractures. Screws and pins are now stabilizing his foot and ankle.
Patient in an accident like this would be going immediately to the operating room with multiple teams of surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, likely vascular surgeons, trauma surgeons.
And Woods had been undergoing rehab recently for a 5th back surgery, telling CBS's Jim Nance he hoped to be at the final round of the Masters.
A driver accused of hitting a cyclist near Lindbergh Field and taking off last year now faces several years in prison. Investigators say that Mauricio Flores fled from San Diego County after the crash, but was arrested days later. The cyclist, Dan Sweeney, was taken to the hospital, but died more than a month later. Flores pleaded guilty to the crash today. He's scheduled to be sentenced in March, where he could get up to 4 years behind bars.
Community organizations are coming together to help Black students in San Diego get the education in STEM that they need.
But our students need access to the computer hardware and tech to complete this program. In a pre-COVID world, these students would have access to computer labs. Now students need their own personal computers at home in general because they are not attending school.
They're launching a pilot program, and the goal is to raise $100,000 so Black students can complete a 3-month robotics program. The money will help pay for the hardware they need, and you can find out more at blacktechlink.org.